It appears, of course, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has not gone as planned. Russian forces are facing fierce resistance from Ukrainian forces. But one question looms large. How long can Ukraine sustain that resistance? Retired General Rick Hillier served as Chief of the Defense Staff from 2005 to 2008. Hi, General Hillier. Good to see you again. Thank you for making the time.
Hi, Vashi. Glad to be here.
I appreciate it. Can I get your take on what we have seen unfold so far? First of all, the level of Russian aggression, but also, as I put it to the ambassador a few minutes ago, the strength of the Ukrainian resistance.
Well, first of all, naked aggression by Putin. And we've had a lot of commentary over these last several days saying, oh, Putin is a different animal right now, and we're not sure how he's thinking. Well, if we're saying that, we weren't listening to him for this last 20, 25 years, because, way back when he called the breakdown of the USSR and the loss of all those peripheral countries to Russia the greatest geopolitical disaster of our time. And so he's been going down this road for a long period of time. We've just decided or wished not to confront him with it. He made his decision to do it. And it has not gone as well, without question. I mean, look at even the things that we can see just based on videos and pictures and stories about columns that are miles and miles long. I mean, oh my Lord, that's a target-rich environment in my former profession. And one kind of weapon system that would be available to take it out could destroy that entire column. Obviously, they're not doing this well. But here's what I would say. Putin cannot lose on this one. He has got to win. So this next 4 to 5 days, he's going to double down. He's going to have more forces. He's going to strike more of those critical infrastructure targets that are going to include civilians, and the loss of life will go high. And he's going to control most of the Ukraine, except for the built-up areas where the fighting can go on for a long time, unless the West gives him some real practical aid on the ground. And I would simply say this, and then I'll stop there for a second. But the sanctions are wonderful. The financial implications are wonderful. But put yourself in the position of a Ukrainian commander on the ground, or the president himself, who, by the way, is an inspirational figure at this critical hour of need. And we always had a saying in the Army, hey, shoot the 25-meter targets first. Worry about the stuff coming down the road later on. The sanctions may impact some of that coming down the road. They may not, but they may. But right now, they need weapon systems, they need ammo, they need long-range systems, and they need a no-fly zone over the Ukraine to allow them to operate, to defend their own country, and to be able to actually stand up to Putin and in negotiations say, hey, we'll accept the unconditional surrender of all the Russian soldiers into Ukraine, and now how can we get along in the future here? They can last inside of those built-up areas, but it is going to be brutal. And they can't last unless we give them better defensive support, better weapons, more ammunition, and better ammunition, and the kind of things that they need. But that no-fly zone, I know NATO is a defensive organization, but hey, you don't start defense at your front door. NATO ran a war in Afghanistan. NATO tried to conduct operations in Afghanistan in August, did not do so well at that one. But you start your defense earlier than that. That no-fly zone, I posted about it, a week ago. We should have been doing it. Putin might have had second sort of thoughts before he launched if we had done it.
Okay, you've given us a lot to unpack there, because I do want to start on that very point that you're making around the no-fly zone, because I'm sure you've seen over the last number of days, the U.S. is getting tons of questions, our government is getting questions, our allies are getting questions, and the answer has been fairly similar across the table. No, that would be perceived as an escalatory move, and that would definitely ratchet up the war rather than de-escalate it. What is your response to, for example, the Canadian government, which today, just unequivocally said that's a no-go at this point for us?
Hey, we're not putting our actions where our mouth is. We're saying, well, Ukraine has resolved. We're there behind you. We've got the colors of the Ukraine on the Peace Star. Something that's complete assistance short of real help. And what they need is a no-fly zone. What they need are weapons, and what they need are ammunition. And what they need are people to come and fill out that international brigade or brigades that they want to form also to actually fight the Russians that are on the ground right now, those 25-meter targets. Hey, this got escalated when Putin said he was going to invade and then did so. It got escalated when they attacked those infrastructure, those buildings where the civilians are, and it got escalated gets escalated every time there's a Russian tank fighting vehicle or soldier that crosses that border into the Ukraine and attacks and tries to kill somebody. We at some point in time, we're going to face Putin and the Russians over this one. And if we have any hope of ever getting Putin removed from power inside of Russia, The folks that are around him as cronies, I think back to 20 July 1944 when people around Hitler were going to do the same. I'm reminded of that when I see Putin sitting at that long table. We've got to actually show some backbone in the West. And I think Canada could lead the way in that one. We do need a no-fly zone. We have the technology, we have the forces, we have the capability to do it, and say very clearly to the Russian people, not just to Putin, here's what we are doing because we cannot accept what's occurring.
The way it's being described so far is, okay, say you have to enforce that no-fly zone. You shoot down, some Russian aircraft, and you have somebody with their finger on a nuclear button responding to that. Does that argument hold any weight with you, or do you think that regardless, it's something that allies need to do?
It doesn't hold any weight with me. If every time that we say no to something, Putin says, hey, you will face severe consequences, and we all think that that's going to be the nuclear button, then we might as well give up now and ask what he wants. Say, do you want to go as far as the English Channel, by the way? Because, he's going to run the rest of the world by threatening to use the nuclear button. He's not going to use that nuclear button. He wants to live. He wants to enjoy the fruits of what he is building, in his view, in his demented mind. His cronies around whom who run Russia, they want to enjoy it all. So he's not going to use that nuclear button. We're letting him manipulate us. We're at the end of a whip and he's cracking it all the time. Time for us to actually say this quite clearly. This is unacceptable. And here's what we are doing. This is to protect the Ukraine. This is not against Russia. It's to protect the Ukraine.
General, you'll be much more familiar than I am with what Canada has to offer. In the lethal aid that has been provided so far, and more was announced yesterday, for example, 100 anti-tank weapon systems, 2,000 rockets. Prior, the announcement was machine guns, hand pistol, carbines, other ammunition. What more does Canada have to offer? Like, what kind of lethal aid do you think could be at the ready?
Okay, so first of all, wonderful on what Canada's offered. Now let's get it into the hands of Ukrainian troops. Well, I'll tell you, everything that you just described is a short-range weapon system, and they will be very, very valuable when you get into a fight in the cellars and the buildings and the high-rise buildings inside of Kiev and inside of Kharkiv and the other towns and cities of the Ukraine, where you're going to have that fight drag out. But what they really need now are those long-range systems. For example, automatic grenade dischargers that can reach out 4 kilometers with armor-piercing rounds. They've got the machines, the weapons themselves. They need more ammunition. Why doesn't Canada just go buy 100,000 rounds of things that kill tanks and fighting vehicles and fly them in and allow them to get at those columns of Russians who appear to be stuck on the road, who appear not to be able to get off into the countryside, who appear to be lacking fuel and even food, and really make a difference to what's coming into those built-up areas. Because, again, it seems to me that we're setting ourselves up for what is the end of the fight, i.e. the Ukraine will be lost except for fighting occurring in those built-up areas. Those weapon systems like the Karl G, they're 300 to 500 meters at maximum. That's great for close-in fighting. It's not great for the kind of fighting that they have out there right now and what they need for the future going forward. Buy some weapons. There's all kinds of stuff available. Buy it. Buy some, Excalibur rounds for their artillery pieces. And if they don't have the artillery pieces to shoot them to 40 kilometers out and target them at individual tanks, then give them some and get them into theater. We can do all of those things. It just takes a concerted effort and a background to do it. And if we have said this is unacceptable, then hey, let's put actions to that word. Let's let our actions talk for us.
Okay. Thank you, General Hillier. Good to have you on the program as always.
Vashi, my pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.